Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Wendy Nystrom with Environmental Social Justice. And today's special guest is Drew Long. She is the founder of 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's and 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cause. So welcome to the show, Drew.
Thank you.
Anytime. Now, you have a pretty amazing background, and you have been able to create not only 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's, but as a result, 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cause. Before we dive into that, could you tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to do what you're doing now?
Sure. So I'm a married mom of 3. I have children, and I have one special needs child, and she's now 24. But back in the day when I had 3 littles, I had a husband that traveled for a living. And what do moms do many times a week? They go to the grocery store. So my daughter, who was born with Rett, R-E-T-T, Rett syndrome, doesn't walk, doesn't talk, never has, never will. And I would just carry her into stores with my other littles and put her in the cart. Well, as she got bigger, she no longer fit in what the stores provided. So I vividly remember when she was around 8 or 9 years old, talking to a store manager here in my town about, okay, so I see all these varieties of shopping carts. Can you get me a special needs shopping cart? Maybe no one's just asked for it. My daughter's has special needs and she can't fit into what you provide. And he just had a very, interesting look on his face. And he was like, okay, well, I've never heard of a special needs shopping cart. Check back with me. So when I went home that day, I searched myself, and I went back a few days later, and he's like, there is no such thing. I'm like, yeah, I can find nothing. And literally that's when the idea was born, out of a need for my own daughter.
And you actually, I read up on you, did a little research. You actually sat at your kitchen table and started sketching out designs to make this happen.
The table I'm sitting at right here, except I was at that chair right there. I remember telling my husband, gosh, this is not a rocket ship. It's nothing electrical. This is so simple. I mean, literally, where baby, just a typical regular shopping cart. We all know what they look like. It's just removing the baby seat and putting an adult seat. It was just so simple, yet it took me about 10 years to get off the ground because it was so hard. And I just drew it, and I was like, this is it. This is not hard. And sitting right here, I drew it. Absolutely. Yeah.
I love the fact that some of the best ideas and some of the most ingenious ideas are also the simplest ones.
Absolutely.
Your design is actually perfect. Yes, folks, it is a shopping cart. And on the front is a seat for someone who's not going to fit in the baby seat, but an adult and a grown person. And it's for anyone who has mobility issues could use this.
Anyone, right. You don't have to be special needs. You could, maybe your typical kid twisted their ankle and they need to run into the store. Or I've heard of stories of, my 12-year-old was so sick, I didn't want to leave him in the car. He had the flu. So I just put him in 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cart to get him to the pharmacy so I can get his meds. I didn't want to leave him. Elderly, that is one people group I never dreamt would latch onto it. But those with dementia and Alzheimer's who want to be included in shopping, things they've done their whole entire life. They can't drive electric scooters.
No.
𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cart has allowed them that freedom to be out in the community doing things with their family that they've done their whole life.
That's actually really important that people pay attention to that, because elderly, we have way more baby boomers out there than we do millennials. We all know the statistics. And there is actually an increase in Alzheimer's and dementia happening because people are living longer. And having a few of those people in my life as well, and they're very dear to me and I love them, they don't want to be home all day just sitting in a bed or sitting on a chair staring out a window. They want to be outside.
That's right. And a lot of them can't be left home
for
their own safety. They want to be out in the community. So that really shocked me. I did this for the special needs community. And that was something that I was not prepared for. I would tell you, I get equally over the last 15 years, as many pictures and emails from the senior adult community as I do the special needs community.
Yeah, because it's helping people get outside. Nobody wants to be stuck at home, regardless of your situation.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
you've provided this service, and it is now available at retail stores. You actually do have that availability.
Right. We hit the market in 2012. I mean, little tiny baby steps, little tiny baby steps. I'm just a mom in small town Alabama, just trying to figure this out and do this and learn manufacturing and
Self-taught engineer.
right, and creating a brand and, you know, just learning the retail business. I created a product that the consumer wanted, yet the consumer couldn't buy it. The only way the consumer could use this, I had to get to the retailer. And
Yes.
it was just years of no, because, the world existed without it. We don't need it. We never had it before. We don't need it. And trying to navigate, that industry and break down those walls and break down those barriers, that took a long time. And educating those, if you don't live in my world, you'd be like, okay, well, yeah, I don't need it. Therefore, it's not important. So yeah, it took quite a while for it to become as available, as it is now. And, very excited to announce that this year Walmart did a national rollout. So we are in every single Walmart in the United States,
That's fabulous.
in the neighborhood markets, as well as their super centers.
Oh,
So,
that's fabulous. I go to Walmart. I do go to Walmart. I
well,
admit it.
if it's not there, the rollout will be complete by the end of January 2025. So if it's not there today, keep looking. It will be there soon.
I will ping you. I will take
Please do.
photos and send it to you.
Absolutely.
And one of the best things, because I do my research, the safety issues that you have safety measures in there. I think the maximum weight is 250 pounds.
Right.
You have, like, I think it's a seatbelt. You have some kind of
A
ability that
5-point
people,
harness, right? 5-point harness.
5-point harness. I mean, this is a safe thing. This is what,
Oh, sure.
when you put your kid in there, you put an adult in there, they're not going to be rolling out.
Right. We have brakes for loading and unloading. So you can put the brakes on, put the child in,
Great.
5-point harness, take the brake off, and away you go. And right, and so many, again, over the years, I've had, families reach out to say, hey, I have a 16-year-old with autism. He's a runner. There's nothing wrong with his mobility, but I have to have Kāroline's cart. Otherwise, he is knocking down displays. He is running to the lobster tank. He has to be confined. So that's another people group that I was like, wow. So this is someone who has no mobility issues at all, yet requires Kāroline's cart to be in the community and to shop. Requires.
And also, so you got, with the mobility issues, a very good friend of mine, her son, when he reached 16 or 17, he was a very tall young man, and he was disabled. So he wasn't, he wasn't able to speak, wasn't able to walk or talk very well. He had his own wheelchair. But when my friend had to take him to stores and stuff, it was a big wheelchair for a big kid.
Right. Sure.
And I was I was like, this is awesome. Like, I would call it, I said, Will has some awesome wheels, because they're like, it was awesome, but not convenient for the grocery store. Let's be honest. Right. That thing's not going to maneuver very well. It was great for outdoors. They kept him outside. They did hikes. They did all sorts of things. Not great for a grocery store because it's going to be too big and it's not easily maneuverable. Right. You actually combine two awesome things. You have your mobility issue on your cart. It's one solid piece. Right. Anyone can go anywhere in that. And, just talking about the success of that. Now you're in Walmart, which is awesome. We're just going to see in more places. But one thing I did want to point out is Kāroline's Cause, which is a nonprofit you started because of the success of Kāroline's Cause, which is amazing. Right. I mean, to have two successes. So, I mean, I know 2012 you just started this, but that's pretty short term to have that much success.
Well, thank you. And one thing, when my oldest daughter was getting ready to go to college, what did we do? What do all parents do? We look for scholarships. And, being a special needs mom for, at that time, 18 years, I was like, gosh, there's scholarships for everything out there. There must be a scholarship if you come from a special needs family or something. So we Googled and searched, and there wasn't. And I'm like, wow, you can get a scholarship just about, I mean, I'm being funny here, but if you have red hair, if you're left-handed, there's just so many random scholarships out there. So I told my husband, I'm like, wow, the special needs population is the world's largest minority group, yet
Yep.
we are highly underserved and
Yes.
often overlooked. What a great way to give back to the same families that helped us build that demand for 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cart. Because, I didn't do this alone. Yes, it was my idea. It was my design. I got it to market. But without the other families in Wisconsin and Michigan and California and all over, I mean, and we are worldwide now, which is crazy, that we are
Awesome.
in Dubai and Australia and New Zealand. I mean, that is insane. But they went to their stores and they said, hey, we want 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cart. Unfortunately, people often ask me, what was the hardest thing? The hardest thing was convincing the retailers that this is the right thing to do. That was the hardest
Oh,
thing. And that is something, I never dreamt. I thought the hardest part would be, I mean, it was all hard, but I thought the hardest part would be getting the prototype, funding it, finding the manufacturer.
yeah.
No, the hardest part was convincing retailers that if you're going to help the able-bodied community with typical carts and fun carts and all the truck carts and all the things, then you cannot exclude the special needs community. That was the hardest part. And what helped me do that, it was a grassroots effort with special needs families like mine all over the world, creating that demand. So my husband and I thought, wow, what a great thing. Special needs scholarship doesn't exist, and we can offer it to families that have, like mine, typical and special needs kids, because the typical kids give up a lot growing up with the special needs kids. My kids know it. They live it. There are things we can do, and we want to include 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 in everything, but there are things that absolutely not, she can't do. So we just don't do it. Or we could be out at a restaurant and she has a seizure and it's like, okay, let's go. So we wanted to just reward and highlight that student because we know that their life wasn't that easy, and they often took a back seat to their siblings.
Yep.
And we wanted to say, oh, okay, great. We want to reward you for that. And that's how 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 was born.
And you kind of hit the nail on the head with that. Just from my personal experience of seeing, this is someone I grew up with. She's one of my best friends. Her daughters became little adults very young. They knew when the meds needed to be taken. They knew, they saw the signs of a seizure coming on. They grew up fast, and they are two of the most accomplished young ladies I've ever met in my life. I mean, they are utterly fabulous and smart. I mean, off the wall smart. But they learned to put themselves in the background. They were always second, and they were totally okay with that. They were like, "Hey, this is what it is."
That's the family dynamic. I mean, I love all my three children the same. However, my typical kids could get up and could get dressed and could feed themselves. I have a 24-year-old baby. That's what I have. She's in a diaper and she's tube fed and she has meds. And I mean, she doesn't walk, and she's an infant. So it's all they know. They know no different my kids know no different upbringing, and they are more compassionate. And they'll see a special needs person out in their community, and they'll go up and they'll talk to them because they're like, gosh, we live the same life. Wow, we're walking the same road. So,
and we need a lot more of that. It's not a fear factor. It's not awkward. It's just another person. You can talk to people. It's okay.
Absolutely. And you know what? You may not have a special needs person in your family, in your immediate family, but it doesn't mean you won't. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, anything can happen to anyone, anytime. We all have aging parents. I mean, dementia. I mean, it could be me. I might need 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cart. My husband. When my mom was living with cancer, she would be too weak after I would take her to chemo. She needed 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cart to go into the store to get her things because she couldn't walk. So I don't think that there is anyone that can say that they don't really identify with this product.
And I'm glad you were able to break down those barriers to get the retailers to pay attention and start buying these things, because as you said, they'd never heard of it. They never knew about it. Therefore, I don't need it. Just because you've never heard about it doesn't mean it's not important.
Right.
And, going back to the cause with these scholarships, one thing people don't realize is how expensive the meds are. It's catastrophically expensive and often not covered by insurance, or minimally.
Right.
So having a scholarship to help these siblings out, I did want to go through a couple of the statistics, well, a couple facts. It has to be a high school senior, correct?
Correct.
That can apply. And you attend a full-time Title IV eligible post-secondary institution. What does that mean?
Well, you can go to college. You can go to junior college. You can go to regular college. I think that's just, any 4-year accredited institution,
Okay, see, little things that I just never learned about the real term of a 4-year accredited
Well,
institution.
it might be something, it might be a little more complicated where they receive government funds,
Okay.
But I don't know we've never had anybody apply that didn't meet that criteria. Let me say
Oh,
that.
perfect. And you also do provide a list on your website. You just click
Yes.
the button and it'll give you the list.
Sure.
And then high school GPA of 3.0 or better, and household income not exceeding 75,000. So
Right.
this is great. And the scholarships, you can get an award of $5,000. That's a lot.
Yeah,
to help people.
we were like, okay, so what do we do? Should we give more and give just give 1,000? But, because I've lived it and I've got one graduated and I've got another one in college, we wanted to really move the needle, and $5,000 moves the needle,
Oh,
needle.
yes.
And I will say that we have, we are bombarded. Again, we are the only scholarship out there that awards like this. We can never fund all that we are asked to fund. We get,
Yeah.
I cannot even tell you how many applications we get. I'm already receiving applications and we're not even open till January. So
Oh,
that
wow.
is, and it's a tax deduction, and every dollar given, I don't take a salary at all. So
Yeah.
it is volunteer for me and my husband. So if someone gives 5,000, I give 5,000, whatever. So, a lot of times you give to a nonprofit, 10% comes off the top for salaries, for overhead. I run it from my dining room, and it is, again, tax deductible, and not one dime goes to my family. Not one dime. We give every dime away.
And that's a rarity because most 501c3s, there is always money taken off the top to pay people.
That's right. Not here.
And it's
Not one
usually
dime.
a lot more than 10%.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true. I was being nice, but yeah.
You're being very kind.
If anybody's looking to give something that truly makes a difference, I'm telling you, 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cause makes a difference in these families' lives.
And hence my next question, how are people going to find you so they can donate and get the word out?
Okay, so 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿cart.com will
Very
also
simple.
link you to 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿 cause, but also 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿cause.com.
I love that. And you keeping it simple is really important because, some of us got short attention spans. We're not going to remember. But no, seriously, this is a fantastic cause. I love the fact that you have the carts for people. As having a dear friend whose son had mobility issues, and now I have friends that are in their 70s and 80s who are getting mobility issues. This is the fact of life. We need to actually address it and not ignore it. And that's exactly what you have done.
Right.
And making people just have their freedom again, be outside. I mean,
Sure.
you just can't be indoors all the time. And then _𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cause is fantastic because you were 100% right. There are no scholarships out there for siblings of, families that have special needs.
Not at
There
all.
is a huge financial burden when you pay for meds and services. And a lot of times there are nurses involved that have to come to the house.
Gosh,
They're
yes.
very expensive.
100%.
Special schools.
100%.
I mean,
Yes,
my friend, her son went to a special school. He loved it. He absolutely loved going, but it was an expensive cost.
Yeah, and it guts me every year that I cannot fund, all that I get. So I'm looking for creative ways to get the word out. So I appreciate this.
Oh, of course.
And let me say that I'm also a speaker. I've been speaking for years, traveling about 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cart, and now the cause. And sometimes people might not, to hire a speaker, they might not have it in their budget to hire a speaker, but they might have a fund that they use to give back to the community, So people
There you
can
go.
pay 𝐂𝐚𝐫𝐿's cause for me
Yep.
to come speak, and then all that money goes, to a student.
I
So
love
I
it.
have another website, which is 𝐿𝐿𝐴NSpeaks.com.
Drew.
My middle name's Ann, so
Oh, Drew Ann.
𝐿𝐿𝐴NSpeaks.com. And you can
That
print
is
my speaker sheet and there's a schedule and all the things. And that's been a creative way if a business, you know, because sometimes they'll have two different funds to pay out of, and they
Yep.
may not have a budget for a speaker, yet they have a foundation budget where they could pay another nonprofit. And that's a great way to learn, you know, to get a speaker, and then your payment goes to helping another family.
Absolutely true. And, you know, I've actually got firsthand experience where companies I have worked for, they said, listen, we don't hire speakers, but if you have a nonprofit,
Right.
we can do that.
That's exactly what we're trying to tap into. Yes.
Yeah. And that's perfect. So folks, please check out Caroline's Cause, Caroline's Cart, and Drew Ann Speaks, all.coms.
You got it.
And hire Drew, bring her on. She can pay her through the 501c3. It's totally good. You actually get a little nice benefit if you're doing any ESG reporting. It's nice. It's a tick to the box. But also Caroline's Cart, Caroline's Cause, you're helping people live their life to their fullest degree, which is what we do here. This is what ESG is about. We help get the messaging out that everyone's equal. Everyone's got the same rights as we all do. So Drew, thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing. You are doing God's work.
Thank you. I appreciate any exposure you can give us.
Absolutely. So guys, I'm Wendy Nystrom, your host with Environmental Social Justice. Again, thank you so much, Drew, for your time today. Doing a great job. And ESJ is now proudly sponsored by BioLogo. They just make life better. So be sure to check them out. And we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.